Another Friday live stream. It's kind of sad. This is going to be our last Del Mar Friday stream. We've had a lot of fun hanging out with you over the last couple months. It's been a very good Del Mar meet. We're really happy that you're joining us again for Friday. We're going to run through the card. Bree Mott, Everything StableDuel, Caleb Knight, who has been one of the hottest handicappers on the planet, and Barry Spears, who alongside with me is one of the side bet losers to Bree quite often. So hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves again today. Everybody, how we doing?
I'm good over here.
Man, doing good, man. It's Friday. You can't go wrong there. Long weekend Friday too.
So, Bree, let's talk a little bit about the schedule coming up. So Del Mar obviously has been a really big StableDuel partner throughout the meet, and there are going to be some huge contests to close things out. Today on Friday, you have a couple different contests that you can enter, but the big one this weekend is there $15,000 up for grabs tomorrow?
So I literally just lowered it to 10,000. Okay. So we are doing it 10,000 for various reasons, but yes. So 10 grand, $150. I named it the Del Mar 10K hustle because you got to hustle to get that money. And then we also have a $1,000 double up. So the double ups are really cool. I know some people play them, and I don't know if other people just haven't dived in, but for double ups, the top 40% of players get double their entry. So they're kind of cool for like a bank builder for your next game or whatever it is. Obviously the $1,000 buy-ins kind of limits the stables because not a lot of people are, willing to spend $1,000 on one bet, but just know if there are a bunch of stables, it's the top 40% that gets double their entry. So that's kind of cool. And then triple ups, it's like the top 26%, I think, that triple their entry. So take a look at those. If you haven't tried them out, they're good for bank building for sure.
And when we're looking on the schedule, we see that as some tracks end, other tracks begin. And so Kentucky Downs is going to join the party this weekend. They are a really fun racetrack. They don't have a long meet, but they have some of the most difficult, contentious, like really good racing of any track anywhere in the U.S. If you haven't paid attention to Kentucky Downs, check it out this weekend on Sunday. So I get the feeling that StableDuel is going to have a lot of presence at Kentucky Downs with those contests.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Kentucky Downs. It's kind of like my new Colonial Downs, right? So I gotta get the mindset there and just take the energy that I had from Colonial and just insert it into Kentucky Down and start making some money. So yeah, I'm here for it all.
And one more question. So as Del Mar closes up, Santa Anita will probably be opening back up again. Are we going to have a good presence at Santa Anita, Woodbine? What are some of the tracks we can kind of look forward to over the next, couple months?
Absolutely. I mean, probably the biggest one to kind of, throw out there is Keeneland.
Oh, yeah.
We do love some Keeneland. So October, we'll have Keeneland content. So that's great. Santa Anita is coming back. We love Santa Anita. Woodbine, I feel like they feel like they have 2 weeks that they take off. I mean, obviously they kind of had a rough go during COVID, but I just think Woodbine just runs all the time. So Woodbine is great as well. I'm trying to think what other newer tracks we've got. I definitely like on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, the content there because I think people, especially work-wise, and StableDuel is fun for that because it's kind of like a set it, and then you don't have to go in and sit there and bet every single race and change things around. But so the content on the Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays have always been good. So, the Pennsylvania Derby is coming up. That's on the 25th. That's not a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's totally killing my point here.
No, but at Parks, they've had good stakes races on Tuesdays the last couple weeks. They've had big stakes races there. And Chris Griffin is so awesome.
He is
one of my absolute favorite people. I got to know Chris really well at Sam Houston. And then when he was doing some stuff in the Northern California fairs up at Pleasanton and other places, he is just a great ambassador for horse racing. He loves the game. He'll always help you out in any way. So if you're playing during the week, or maybe you're looking for some early week action on Mondays and Tuesdays, he's a great follow there too, because he'll kind of keep you updated on changes, scratches, anything going on there. Yeah.
We're going to need Chris to send us something free. I name dropped him on my last live stream. Now he's on here. I mean, Chris, if you're not listening to this and you're not getting anything out of it, come on.
Praise all over.
What we can for you.
He's a good looking fella too. Good looking.
I know. I told him one day, I was like, seriously, you're doing selfies? I hardly do selfies. Do I need to take notes here? What's going on?
He looks like a guy who should be in the picture frames at the, like when you buy a picture frame, he's the picture in the frame.
That's so true.
Yeah. So good stuff happening over there at Parks. And keep in mind, you can always check out the StableDuel schedule. It'll come up early in the week, usually like Monday. You can go to the website and it'll be right there in the blog. So you can kind of set yourself up for the whole week. You can kind of figure out what your bankroll, your budget's going to be. Oh, cool. Hey, I'm not doing anything on Tuesday, but there's a couple contests I could play in here. Give me some action, make work a little bit more fun. Nobody's been having more fun lately than Caleb, who just has been winning everything over the last few weeks. Caleb, buddy, I got to ask you, how are you doing with all the weather and everything? It's probably been a crazy week or so for you.
It has. It has been the longest week, but doing good, honestly. Cannot complain at all given everything that's kind of happened with Hurricane Ida. So I live just half an hour outside of New Orleans. So it's been a long week. Evacuated to my girlfriend's parents' house, just a little bit outside of New Orleans, farther than me. So was able to ride out the storm there. They have a generator, so we did lose power, but only some minimal damage, a couple trees down, and the fence kind of blew away and a few small things. But got back to the apartment today. We have power for the first time in like a week. It can actually start to get groceries now again. So things are slowly starting to come around. If I can ever find a gas station that has gas, we'll be in good shape. But so far, I can't complain. Compared to a lot of other folks, I have it pretty good.
Good spirits from Caleb, man. Always, you're always such a soldier on type. So let's make some money today. Let's get some good vibes going today as we're going to help you get set up for the Friday or final Friday Del Mar card. Now, remember, they start at 6:30 Eastern time. So you have an hour and about 20 minutes or so to get all your handicapping done, maybe even about a little less than that to get your StableDuel lineups in. So just think about it as an hour. You want to get your wagers in, and we will kick off race number 1 right off the bat with a distance turf race. We're going to go a mile and a 16th on the turf, $32,000 claimers who have not won a race in 2021. We'll start with you, Caleb. How are you going to kick off this card?
Yeah, so I think this is a kind of a fun race, and it's actually a race that from a StableDuel perspective, I'm probably going to use 2 horses. The horse that I probably like the most would be the 8-horse Kano. I just don't see a ton of speed in this race. The 3 Via Ignatia probably tries to go, but I'm just not really convinced this horse wants to go this far. So I'm not too worried about that horse, and I don't want to bet that horse at a short price. So I like Kano here to either get the lead or just sit just off. The horse isn't exactly a win machine, but I thought ran a pretty good race last out against significantly tougher company in those optional claiming 40s. I think the drop to conditional claimers here makes a lot of sense for this horse. And I like Kano here quite a bit. The other horse I'm going to double up with is actually a bit of a bomb here, which is the 2, Play Chicken. I don't think you'll actually get 15-1 when the race goes off. So I think you're going to get some value here.
Yep.
Roberto Rosboli takes the mount, who is probably the second best turf jockey on the West Coast after Flavian Pratt. So this horse is only 3 years old, certainly has a right to continue improving and continue moving forward. Thought that last race was a lot better than it appears on paper. The horse was probably never going to win, but got totally shut off in the stretch. Checked really badly, and Tyler Bays kind of just gave up on him at that point and dropped back to 7th, but was probably going to run about 3rd with a clean trip there. That was against $50,000 claimers, drops down to conditional $32,000 claimers today, gets a jockey upgrade. I think this horse has a real good chance to hit the board and get you some points for a good value play.
Right off the bat, Caleb's going to be using a couple in race number 1. Barry, where are you heading to start?
Well, that's a really good question. I actually took a really long look at Kano, but I just felt in the end there's a scenario where War Treaty, the 9, will kind of run off and give that horse some fits up front, and that horse doesn't really like to win. I think that's a horse that loves to finish second. That being said, I would agree with Caleb that this is a race that you can use 2 horses, and I ended up on Cleopatra Strike. I think this is just a prime setup for this horse who's been keeping pretty good company over the last year or so. You got United in there. Master Foxhounds, Ohio, another Twist of Fate. This is a significant relief in class that I think Cleopatra Strike is really going to benefit from. And then the other horse that I would want to use here is Play Chicken because of the price.
Yeah.
Everything that Caleb liked about this horse, I agree. I'm not sure this horse could actually win this race, but I think this horse is going to be a real good, solid shot, with a low buying price in StableDuel for you to score some points early.
We are on the same one, Barry. We're both on Cleopatra Strike. Now, when I look at races like this that are horses who have not won a race in a certain amount of time, I always like to go back and look to when they did win their last race and see what's been going on since then. So Cleopatra Strike is 0 for his last 11. 8 of those races were stakes. So, and the bulk of them were graded stakes. In fact, his last win was in the Grade 2 John Henry when he won back in September 2019.
Beat United also that day.
And he dropped in on May the 14th to a very similar spot, a $40,000 time restricted claimer. He ran really well that day. He finished second. They stepped him up on June the 19th. He had an awful first furlong. He was in tight. He was bumped. And then that bump caused him to bump another one of his rivals. He ended up 3 deep on the turf, like 3 from the back. That's just not a trip that he had any shot with. I think you put a line right through that. You give Cleopatra Strike a big shot in here. So that's how I'm going to kick off the card. Bree, I know you said you just kind of jumped into looking a few minutes ago. Did you have any thoughts in the opener?
Yeah, so I'm glad Barry and you both said Cleopatra Strike because that's who I kept going back to after getting through each of the horses. I definitely like that horse. I'm trying to remember, when I worked with Team Valor, what we liked post position wise coming down the hill, because I remember it was very polar. It was like, this is either the best thing coming down the hill or this is the worst. And what's the filly? Gosh, now Belvoir Bay. So she used to run in sprint races, I think, down the hill. And I remember watching it and seeing, if it worked out well for her. Maybe I'm thinking of another horse. Anyways, so I like Cleopatra's, and I think I like coming out of the one hole here because you do have that really tight turn coming out of the hole. And so I think that the post position helps. But you all did not talk about the 6, Sterling Drive. I like the 6. I'm wondering, after the claim or after after changing trainers, kind of what's been going on. But the speed figures definitely are in this horse somewhere and had a little bit of time off. So last ran at the end of July. So has had a month off, had good works. I'm just wondering with Jersey Joe, who's now California Joe, if he can work some magic on Sterling Drive, the 6 here.
And our friends from the wrong lead said, yeah, Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner, Belvoir Bay. Put some respect on the name. Absolutely.
Oh, I know. I have one of her saddles.
That was not. I lost money on that race that day, more than I care to admit. So that was not me making that comment.
So that is how we're going to kick off the Friday card at Del Mar. We move into race number 2. We've got maiden, $40,000 claimers, 5.5 furlongs, the distance in here. Barry, let's start over with you. Who are you looking at to use in your lineup for the second?
It's another race that's very kind of tough. I mean, I don't want to say tough, but these 40,000 maiden claimers, you're getting horses that are kind of stepping up maybe a little bit, and those coming out of maiden special weights or high level high-level maiden claimers, and this is kind of like the meeting spot in the middle at this $40,000, $32,000 level. So, there's not much to go on as far as form. You have the 10 Suetta's Ghost that really didn't run that bad. I'm a Giraffe. Not really sure what you make of that performance in the maiden special weight, and then dropping down into this, other than the fact that she may show speed. You have a horse in Malabuena who's out of Gormley whose horses have been running.
Yeah.
But I ended up on Artisan Dancer.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the horse had a nice workout on the 16th, and then 2 subsequent works, slower ones and longer ones, it seems. Even though the one on August 23rd says 4 furlongs, I think it might have been, a little bit longer than that. But I like that work on the 16th. The trainer does well. I mean, he's a 27% trainer, 36% at the meet.
And this is what he does. This is
his thing, right?
2-year-olds,
exactly.
young
2-year-olds,
horses.
first time starter. I think this horse is actually probably might get a little bit of play, but 6-1 sounds about right. But that's where I landed.
Sometimes you put like a bug jock on a horse like this too to kind of throw some people off.
Right, and raise the price so it's like make a bet
at the meet, and you'll get a little bit better price than if someone like Rosboli or Pratt was on the horse like this. All 4 of the siblings have won. 3 of them won on dirt for a maiden claimer like this, for a barn that we know can pop first time out and has a little bit of a sneaky pedigree. Yeah, I ended up on Artisan Dancer also. I couldn't really get too cute in here. Miss Reno, Artisan Dancer, Malabuena. Those are the 3 that I kind of gravitated towards, Caleb. How are you sniffing out the second race?
Seeing it pretty similar to y'all, honestly. They're going to have to edit the form to say Artisan Dancer is carrying an extra 300 pounds from the stream. But I landed on Artisan Dancer. That it's what Luis Mendez does. This horse is going to show some speed, I think. Probably get out on the lead and hopefully not look back. If I was going to look a little deeper, I did look at the 2 a little bit, 12:30. They threw this horse into Maiden Special Weight Company in her debut, and she didn't run bad.
No,
she beat half the field basically. That field actually was pretty live. Smash Ticket came back to run, I think, 2nd or 3rd in a stakes race a couple weeks ago. Desert Dawn was a next out winner who ran 3rd in that race. So, and she was only, you see 4th by 11, but the winner and second place horses were pretty clear the rest of that field. So that was a strong race. They throw her into a high level maiden claiming race, and she kind of gets bumped at the break a little bit and then just runs evenly once again. I think this is probably where she should be at a more reasonable level here. Thiago Pereira started off the meet pretty poor, but he is actually heating up a little bit. He had the Pacific Classic winner, and he's gotten him a few long shots. So I think that the 2 12:30 is one I would consider in addition to Artisan Dancer.
Bree, in race number 2, did anything jump out at you?
Yeah, I like 12:30. I like, obviously the major drop in class here. Speed figure wise from early on, those aren't bad figures to have, especially comparative to the other ones in the field. First time out though, I'm sort of interested in this Peter Miller here. So the 3 horse, Miss Reno, you've got like a bullet work, 3 works back August 14th. I like to see a bunch of works, which they're there. And I don't mind where the horse is working because that's where Peter works in general. So, I don't know. I'd sort of be interested, but I want to look a little bit deeper because I look at the breeding here, and then you've got some other, you've got a Street Boss in here. You've got Honor Code, which, who knows with Honor Code, but I'm interested in Miss Reno if I was going to do a first-time starter. And really, I just want to fade you guys at this point because you all like the same one.
So. Wrong lead said, it's never Thiago when you expect. I'll take a shot with the 6 for $750. The Dam had 2 winners from 3 starters, so good information there. And talking about unfaithful ways, right? Dam was a multiple winner. Lone Sib was also a winner. So good information there. We always appreciate some folks hanging out and leaving some comments. Miss Reno is going to be tough. Peter Miller, he spots the horses really well. If this horse is in this spot, this is where she belongs, and she's probably going to be very competitive. So yeah, she'll probably, to me, I think she's probably the one they have to beat.
And you look at his stats, and you're like, okay, well, that's nothing like, lights out. But the one that gets you, where am I looking here? Miss Reno, where'd you go? The one that gets you is a maiden claiming.
Yeah.
So he's 21% for maiden claiming races.
He's not scared of getting a horse claimed. If a horse they pay $40,000 for, they'll put him in a spot, in a $50,000 claimer, try to win. Don't worry about it. They run horses where they are. And that's why he wins a lot of races. That's why he wins training titles and stuff, because he doesn't get too overly aggressive in a, Derby fever kind of way. He's like, I'm going to win this race. Let's put a horse where they can win. And Miss Reno is going to be very tough in this spot.
And knowing him when he trained for Team Valor, that's exactly what it is. Like, he wants to win. The conversation is not like, well, let's see what happens here. It's like, no, like, this horse needs to win. It's going to win.
Yep, very competitive. And you see him out there. He doesn't care if it's a 10,000 claimer or a grade 1. He's equally as excited for winning races. We move to the third. We've got Calbreds, 5 furlongs on the turf course. These are optional 20s, first level allowance company. Let's begin with Barry. Who are you going to start with in the third?
Yeah, this is another one. A lot of these races are really, really competitive, and I enjoy, this card today. Basically because everybody looks the same, especially in this race. Like a lot of these races today, everybody kind of looks the same on paper, and it's a matter of making a decision. That's what I like doing. And if you're right a couple of times, it can make your whole weekend. But this was a really tough race because you have a horse like Asai, or I guess that's how you say it, that loves to finish second and third, that probably will be out there winging it. The only other horse I could see with a kind of a little bit of speed is the 7 Lava Lane, and I'm just no chalk zone. I just don't appreciate chalk, and especially in StableDuel, in a StableDuel situation, I don't want to spend up on a horse like Lava Lane who is kind of iffy. He could either win or finish off the board, because this is such a competitive race. So keeping those two in mind, I ended up on the 8, Dr. Wysong. I know the horse has run a bunch of times. I think this is just the perfect spot. And hopefully, Kyle Frey can get the perfect trip sitting in behind, at least Asai, if not both Asai and Lava Lane. You may get some pace pressure from the 4 and possibly the 3. And I just weren't enamored with any of those horses. They all look okay, but it looks like they all need the lead and fairly easy leads in order to win. And from a consistency standpoint, Dr. Wysong kind of does what he does.
His turf races are good. Her turf races, they're not bad. They're really sneaky when you dig. She had legitimate trouble in April, and then you go back down to the bottom of the page, and she's at this level, running second, going 5.5 furlongs.
Right. I think she's getting a little bit of class relief here. If you go back way down to October 2020, she ran in a race similar to this at Santa Anita and ran pretty good, almost won. So I think this is just a little bit sneaky, especially off the layoff coming in from Golden Gate. There's a lot of things that people are going to be like, oh, well, no way with this horse. So I think 8-1's a good price, definitely in StableDuel. So let's roll.
Dr. Wysong for Barry. Caleb, who are you going to head to in the third?
Yeah, so I think I'm with Barry in terms of I'm just not impressed with Lava Lane as the favorite. I think that his trouble in the last race, I think, will be overplayed. I don't think that was really a spot he was ever going to win anyway.
No.
But I do think I'm going a different direction as far as picks here, just based on the way these turf sprints have played. As of Wednesday, I did an update for yesterday. The inside 2 post going 5 furlongs at Del Mar on the turf, 17 for 35. And about 50% of the turf sprints have been wired. So to me, the 2 horse kind of being on the inside and fitting that track profile that has early speed, I think that horse makes a lot of sense. The horse bled last time out as the 8-5 favorite. So clearly draw a line through that race. And beyond that, the horse has just been running against quite a bit better company, mostly at Santa Anita, going 6 and 6.5 furlongs, where it seems like that might just be a little too far, as she kept getting nailed late in a couple of those spots. There's some good horses in those past performances if you dig into it. Respectfully, Nimbo Stratus, Going Global. I mean, those are all stakes winning horses out in California. The 247 Bullet Works the last 2 weeks tell me this horse is fine, healthy, fit, ready to go. I like they're bringing her back in a spot here that's protected and not dropping her in for a tag or anything. So I think the 2 Squared Shady is probably the horse that I would use here, just because I'm just not sure you'll be able to make an outside closing move into the turf with the rails all the way out at 30 feet today. So I like the 2 the best, but there's a couple ways you could go here.
This was a race where I probably have the least strong opinion of the entire card. I do think Lava Lane is going to be better and handled more aggressively, but I completely agree with the both of you. Like in a StableDuel situation, I don't want to pay up for Lava Lane in that spot. You're right. She had some trouble, but she's going to get over bet. she should run a lot better. It's not like there's a bunch of monsters in here. Shylock Eddie wouldn't shock, but she's not like exciting or anything. You know, she fits in this spot. If she just runs the same kind of race she ran last time, that'll probably be good enough to hit the board in here. I probably keep coming back to After Midnight as just a horse, sort of what Caleb was saying. You get down towards the inside. This horse is going to be forwardly placed, so I at least kind of know what I'm going to get with After Midnight. And she was behind a horse named Miss Carousel. Miss Carousel has become like my favorite horse ever. Miss Carousel, I bet 20 to win on a few weeks ago. She was 45 to 1, and she floated up and went off at 78 to 1. And she won the race. And I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. I'd never bet a horse I think that it was that high. And so then she came right back and won. So I've been keeping an eye on the Miss Carousel races. I think that's actually, she's come back and performed pretty well. And shout out to After Midnight for losing that race that day for me, for finishing second and helping me out there. So maybe After Midnight will really become a horse that I like, come back and win this race and help me out 2 times in a row. You know, what my mom used to always say, though, is nothing good happens after midnight.
That's what my parents said, too.
Right, so keep that in mind.
True.
Bree, where are we going to go to in race number 3?
I mean, I really can't add anything after Caleb stole my thunder. I'm all over the 2 here. Squared
Nice.
Shady, everything that he said is legitimate. Same on my end. I mean, lights out works. You've got the first out of 23, August 25th, the first out of 26, August 18th, 3 out of 30. This horse is obviously working well. The snafu of bleeding worries me a little bit, but, major drop in class. And I also think, God, maybe I need some Lasix. I can't talk. I also think, horses that have tried their hearts out. And I do think that this horse has tried her heart out at her level. Cause look, after she finally broke her maiden, she gets it, right? Like she knows that she's got to be up there and she just hasn't gotten there yet. And so now they're dropping in class. She bled, but I think it's in her to get up there, and she wants to get up there. So I'm going to take that with the speed as Caleb talked about, and I would be betting on the 2. And I did wear Jonathan Wong swag today at my horse show. Okay. So I feel like that's an omen too. So yeah. I might be doing that exacta with the 8 horse here. Little
barn karma there for Wong. Wrong lead says, I think the 5 Shylock Eddie sits the best trip. Lots of speed in here. 7,000 might be a little too expensive though. That's kind of how I felt with Shylock Eddie. Like a pick 4 or pick 5 horse, you probably want to throw in, but I'd much prefer if that horse was, in like the $5,000 range or so in StableDuel. Might be spending up a little too much for a horse that you don't feel so confident in winning. Let's move along to race number 4. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I see or hear the word naughty, I always think of Tommy Boy. And I'm always thinking of Chris Farley. He's talking about that naughty pet. He's naughty. And then you.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I don't know if I like that better or a song. You have a naughty song that you can sing us?
I don't know. I'll think about it. If we might get a little naughty here. But Naughty Evelyn is going to go second start off the long layoff. She took a drop in class last time out. It was her first start on the dirt. She got the lead, she cleared, and she just was second best that day. And now she's going to put 2 together. It's going to be second time on the dirt, second time at the level. I just think she's in a really nice spot to give you a very good run for your money. You know what you're going to get from her? She's going to flash good speed. There might be 1 or 2 others that could press, but I actually think she's probably the quickest in here. And I just hope they try to send with Naughty Evelyn. So I'll end up using her in race number 4. Let's start out with Barry in here. Where are you going to head in the 4th?
I ended up going outside here to the 10 Bandina. I thought her last race was definitely something to build upon. One thing I do pay attention to is horses that basically come back off a layoff and kind of run a race that's similar to what they were doing before. Mm-hmm. And then the next race after that, you usually see some improvement, and she has that kind of pattern here. I do like getting the Bug Rider second time at the level. She finished up pretty good behind Naughty Evelyn, so hoping that she's able to turn the tables here. I think she may have needed that race on August 5th. Working pretty decent into this, so I think they may have some. They may be sitting on something here.
I agree. I actually have her picked second too. She's her last 2 races are kind of weird when you watch them.
So strange.
She shows speed and she's up on the lead. And then she starts to just like drop back to where you think she's done. And then she gets right back into it and comes on again. And she's done it back-to-back races.
Yeah.
So you wonder, she may be just a little quirky. I wonder if, she loses a little focus, but putting a couple starts together, I think she's drawn well too. And she has a really big shot. Caleb, who are you looking at in this 4th?
Yeah. So I do like Barry's 10 quite a bit. I think from a StableDuel perspective, that's definitely the horse I'd probably want to play, because you're only paying $3,000. And I think that horse has a real good chance here. But I think the horse that I would say is the most likely winner here it's September 3rd. It's time to pay the rent. So I'm going to the 6, paying the rent with Kent.
Yep.
Big Moon here. I think this horse wants to route on the dirt. One time this horse got to go 2 turns on the dirt, it ran the best race of her career. I think that getting back to 2 turns on dirt, going a mile, makes a ton of sense here. That race back in October of 2020 is probably good enough to win. And that was, as a 2-year-old. So, or at least good enough to put her in the conversation. So I think that getting back around 2 turns on dirt today with a barn that's been firing pretty much all meat here at Del Mar and getting a jockey who's been pretty hot. I like Big Moon here, but at 7-2, that is on the steeper side of what I'd probably want to pay for in this race, because it does feel like a ripe for an upset. But I would have to say that's the likeliest winner, but maybe not the best value.
Yeah, she looks really good in this spot. 3rd start off the long layoff, put a line through the grass race, back to the dirt, back to going long on the dirt where she performed well. Many things to like about Big Moon. Bree, did you have any thoughts on this 4th?
I haven't. This one's tough. I haven't been able to find kind of my massive conviction that I want. I like Naughty 11 for sure. Looking at that one, especially back first time on the dirt, getting 2nd there. Speed figures are good. I don't know that I love Big Moon, so I probably would fade that one. I'm trying to talk myself into the Peter Yurchin horse for some reason, because I know. So when I was at Del Mar, I asked about her because she was just cleaning up cleaning up on the track. But the thing that I was told, and I won't say who told this, is the reason is one, obviously the weight, but she just sends horses. So that's her only move. She sends horses, and when she sends them, that's the only way that she wins if there's no big closers. So if you look here, she's tried to send 2 races back, and that's the best that the horse got. You could say the first start. So if she sends this horse and you've got Peter putting her back on, what's the reason? So I'm wondering if it's like, okay, she was 3 wide last time, so obviously beaten by 11 lengths in 4th, but if she can send this horse and get to the front, is this going to be live? And at 8-1 with the less weight, you've got blinkers on here as well. I'm wondering if that is kind of if that's your play, but those are my thoughts, not really my convictions at this point.
They hope to be gone, perhaps on the front end. Consider me gone there. I like to be forwardly placed in this one. That is race number 4, ending the first half of the card for Del Mar. Oh, I also wanted to ask you a little bit, Bree, before we get into this. So there was something that you tested out last week, and I was curious how it went. The late pick 5 test out, the late 5. How did that go? And is that something that we may see moving forward again, more contests like that?
Yeah. So just to, because I do a little bit at StableDuel. So customer service, I get a lot of those, and Twitter, I get a lot of those. So just to throw some color at what it takes for some of that stuff. So we actually had this plan to do that game, and everything was going really well. And then literally 4 hours before the first race, there was something on the back end that was going to just nix it. It wouldn't happen. It would affect our other games, blah, 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 blah. So, amazing team that we have. We literally did that manually. So it wasn't even our system, how all the other games are kind of loaded and it's cool and they're scored and blah, and the game's over. And it's we can sit back and watch. This was an actual manual thing. This was, the cards were loaded by us. They were scored by us, not, still officially, but it had to be put in there just because of the new format. So anyways, it went amazing. It was really cool. We had a fantastic response, really, with less than 12 hours of heads up that it was happening. We definitely want to do it again. We like it's almost like a hedge mindset, or for instance, if your first strategy isn't going well, or the fact that your early horses just for some reason didn't show up for you on the day.
Maybe you just don't like the card in the first part,
and you still like your older ones. Like, it's something cool. And to that point, like to the games, for Gulfstream Park, for instance, that start at noon, like I'm still drinking coffee at noon. So, and I'm on the East Coast, by the way, I'm still drinking coffee at noon. So like those are early start times for a lot of people. So this provides an option to kind of get in later and get on the action for like the same, obviously the same price. So we're going to do that again for sure. Nice. We're discussing different things. I had somebody hit me up today, talking about limiting entries. Legally, we actually can't do it. So that's something, it would be as if telling, if you're in TVG and it's like, you can only do one win bet. No, you can't do that. It's a pari-mutuel pool. Like you want it to grow, it has to grow. It's a legal thing. So we can't at this stage limit entries, but we're going to try different things. And, we appreciate feedback. But what did you think? You played?
A lot of fun. I really loved it, because a lot of the times too, you see nowadays where these tracks will card their best races at the end of the day. The early part and the early pick 5 or the early pick 4s are a lot of the shorter fields. They kind of keep them out of the late pick 5 or out of the late pick 6. And so sometimes they're just not as exciting races early on. It's really cool when you have the opportunity to focus in on, like, especially in that situation where it was like all stakes races. I think it was Charlestown, right? And it was from races 9 through 13 were all stakes. Yeah. So that's when it can really, really be awesome. Wrong Lead's got another idea for you. Multi-track contests. That's a cool one.
Listen, it was manual for those 5 races. Okay, let's relax, Josh.
I was going to say.
Whoever's running this right now.
Let's crawl before we walk here. Exactly. Let's move into Del Mar's 5th race, start of the late pick 4. I think there's a horse who's pretty interesting in here. The first-time starter, the number 4 Street Humor. Now, you look at the barn, Manuel Ortiz, and it's not like a household name, but this barn is actually very good with first-time starters. Over the last 5 years, they are 7 for 30. You can find that out in DRF Formulator with those stats, and you can look and see that they actually ran second with a first-time starter going 7.5 furlongs at Turf Paradise earlier this year. So what that tells me is this barn can get a horse ready to go longer. They can get them ready to go longer. They're very good first time out of the box. The dam of this runner, Peppermint Lounge, she was 4 for 6. She was stakes placed. She tried the turf 3 times. She won 2 races on the grass. She has produced 3 foals that won. 2 of them won on the grass. The only one that didn't win on the grass was named Visitant. Barry, your buddy, Visitant, who only tried the grass 1 time, and he was 0 for 1 on the grass, but he's actually a stakes winner and graded stakes place. Barry sniffed him out when we talked a few weeks ago on a big stakes card. Actually, that was months ago now.
Yeah, that was months ago. It was Churchill, right? It was on the Churchill Derby undercard, I think.
Yeah. So I think it's a good spot for Street Humor because of that barn that not everybody knows the barn name. Super capable first time out of the box, steady work tab, like the pedigree. So give me Street Humor. Not easy trying to go long first time out of the box, but I might even double up in this race. It's a hard race to double up being like a first time starter race because some of these horses you just don't know, but I do like 2 different horses that are sort of middle prices. The other one is the 9 Big Splash, whose dam won on the turf. Both siblings won, both foals that she's produced have won. And she's a half to this guy, Big Splash, is actually a half to a horse named Big Fish. Great movie. Big Fish won his first 2 starts going long on the turf at Del Mar as a 2-year-old, including the Del Mar Juvenile Turf. So we've actually seen pedigree and local success from a lot of this family. I always love that. Like, I love when I see that, like, a horse's dam or their siblings won over the same track, over the same turf course. I don't even know how much it matters, but to me, it's like I check another box, like, oh yeah, maybe they like this area, or the surroundings, or the Del Mar air, or whatever it is. So for me, I'll look at a couple first timers in the 5th. Caleb, where are we starting?
Yeah, Gino. So I do actually like your 9, Big Splash, for all the reasons you talked about. That was my top pick in here. I don't really have a whole lot to add to the 9. The horse is bred well, is working well, should handle the surface. And there's no real standouts in here, in my opinion. Like, I'm not really keen to take a horse like Four Flag at 3-1, who
definitely not in StableDuel.
I mean, the horse ran next to last at Arlington. The waters are deeper here. I don't know what to make of that horse. Like in a pick 5, maybe you use it, but at StableDuel, that's not the direction I'm going to go. Even a horse like Quincy, I mean, yeah, Brian Coroner's good second time out, but again, like that's a lot to spend on a horse that may not get you any points. So I actually doubled up in this race as well, using the 9 Big Splash and the 1 horse, So I'm Told. Nice. So I don't really know what the 1 horse here is going to do, or what kind of horse this 2-year-old gelding is really going to be able to run here. But it is a homebred by Redham Racing out of Square Eddy. These horses typically like the grass. Yep. A mile's about as far as they usually want to go, but they do usually stay for at least a mile. This horse has some good works at San Luis Ray Downs. Couple 48-2, couple back. He's got 1:04, and I really like that 7 Furlong Breeze last out. A nice slow stamina building move for a horse that's going to run a distance of ground in his first start. I think if Doug O'Neill was the trainer here, this horse would probably be 4-1, but I think he's getting totally disrespected because it's Edward Freeman, and it's the same ownership group that you see for a lot of these turf horses here with Redham Racing, Mario Gutierrez. It's all the right connections, just a slightly different trainer here. From an inside draw at 15-1, I'll take a shot on a price in a field where I'm not totally impressed with any of the other short prices.
Barry, our buddy Agador is scratched out of here. So no Agador Spartacus, no shoes today. I do not wear shoes because they make me fall down. The shoes hurt my feet. No Agador today. But again, anytime I can reference the Birdcage, I have to do so because that's just a great movie. Barry, where are you heading in the 5th?
First off, shout out to Coach Ryhauer, my man. Nice.
Hey, Coach. Yeah. Checking in again.
See him in there, yeah, doing his thing. He's loyal.
He is.
In a race like race 5, where there's not much form, you have a few horses that have run already. I find that one of the toughest things to do is to get a maiden or a 2-year-old prepared to run a mile on the turf first time out. So that kind of eliminates pretty much most of this field for me. I didn't like Four Flag for the reasons, Caleb said, Arlington 5.5 on the poly coming over here does attract top rider, which is kind of interesting, but will be overbet because of that, I'm sure.
Yep.
The horse can win, but not with my money. I ended up on Peace Haven. I thought that this horse just didn't have a chance to run last time. And it seems like they're giving this horse kind of a makeover package, taking the blinkers off, changing riders, getting a weight break. Phil D'Amato's deadly second time out. I think this horse is sitting on a pretty good race here, and I think Peace Haven's going to give it everything she's got.
Peace Haven with a little bit of experience there for Barry.
I think Peppermint Flirt, actually, who finished 3rd in that race that Peace Haven was in, came back to win yesterday, I believe.
And the runner-up in that race is going to be in a stakes race. She's actually scratched out of the race we're going to talk about next, and she's going to be running in a stakes race against the boys. She's really nice, too.
Right. So nice. It was a live race, to say the least.
It was. That's race number 5 there at Del Mar as we move along to race number 8.
You forgot about.
Oh, Bree. I'm sorry, Bree.
I mean, I did see. Now we got to make this the bet race.
This has got to be the bet race since I shrugged her off.
This is a problem though, because I think that I'm on too many of the same horses.
Okay, we gotta have a differing opinion, so we'll find one in the next few. But this was the race that sparked the bet.
I gotta pop off after this. I'm juggling 3 different horse sports right now, so I'm going. So it's for my riding, it's our championships here in Lexington. And so they're going to do the advanced championships at 6:30. So I'm going to beeline and get there. Cool. But anyways, I'm with Barry on this one really fast. For some of the same points I said before, I think Pfeiffer, again, obviously a weight allowance here, but I think she is going to send this filly, and this filly needs to be sent. I mean, it looks like she broke inside and bumped and all this different stuff. Send her, get her in front of the rest of the field so that she can, see some light at the end of the tunnel and get there. And obviously D'Amato here. Absolutely. Second start, 24%. Insane. 2-year-olds in general, he's 34%. To blinkers off. I don't know if I really care about the blinkers off per se. I more so care about those first couple stats, but I would be smashing Peacehaven. I was interested in Four Flag until all of you all hated on it so much.
So now we all put him right in the winner's circle. I was going to say, we definitely put that horse right in the winner's circle. Bree, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and I hope you have an awesome day. I want to try to see if maybe when Keeneland starts, we can figure out a live stream to do with these guys maybe, and maybe we'll do one like on Friday to preview the Saturday or something like that, because I know they're a big partner, and I'd love to sink our teeth into some Keeneland stuff.
Absolutely. And maybe we'll do at least one thing for Kentucky Downs. I feel like we need to have one little stream party for it.
Okay, cool.
All right, guys, good luck
over the weekend. Good luck. Have a fun rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with us, Bree.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, Bree Mott going to check out some other horse sports. We're going to continue on to race number 6 here. Generous portion. So there are a couple scratches. Zubashi and I was just on a stream with George Ortazar, and he told me 4 times how to pronounce Eleuthera, and I've said it wrong every time. I said it wrong every time. It's actually like an island with pink sands. It's supposed to be like this paradise kind of island, and so I know what it is, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyways, the generous portion, we've got Calbred fillies. They're gonna be going 6 furlongs on the main track here. Scratches, as I mentioned, Zubashi and whatever Eleuthera is. Let's start with Caleb. Where are you gonna go?
Thankfully I'm not using a scratch store, so I don't gotta try to pronounce that one. But I ended up on this was a hard race for me. 2-year-old stakes races are some of my least favorite races to handicap in all of horse racing. When you restrict those to Calbreds, it just makes the madness even worse.
Yep.
So I ended up on a medium price horse here, the number 9 Big Novel. I think that this horse actually ran a much better than it looks race in her debut, where she gets kind of pinballed and sandwiched at the start. She comes out about 5 lengths slow due to that start. I mean, she breaks dead last if you look at the form, and then kind of makes up some ground, gets clear a little bit on the outside, and makes a nice run to get up for second. It clearly wasn't going to beat the winner that day, who was 7 lengths clear and comes back today. But I thought Big Novel had a bad trip that day. She took money, went off 5-2. And honestly, I've mentioned it before. I'm a big believer in the most improvement a horse is going to see is from that first to second start, especially for 2-year-olds. They can improve so much from start to start. We saw what happened with the 12 horse previously, who in this race, who just ran a monster race second time out. And I think Big Novel is sitting on a lot of improvement here. I do think there's enough pace in here to keep a horse like, Connie Swingle honest enough. I think the speed here is a little bit cheap, so I don't know that someone just gets away and steals it. And I think the extra distance here, it may not seem like much, but going from 5.5 to 6 furlongs at this stage of many horses' career, it's a big difference. And I think that's going to help a lot of these closers, like Big Novel or even the 3 Medea a little bit. I think it's going to help them. And I think it's going to hinder some of the earlier, cheaper speed horses, maybe like the 2 Drizella or some others. So I'm a big fan here of Big Novel. I'm going to use that horse most prominently. And I really would use a couple of different closers here, but I'm going to go with the 9 as my top pick, Big Novel.
Yeah, I'm with Caleb. We're both on Big Novel too, for many of the reasons Caleb mentioned. Just a brutal start. And Connie got like a 5-length jump in that race, and that was the difference in winning. And I think Connie Swingle is a nice horse, but Big Novel could show a lot more speed in here, right? We don't know that he's even a stone cold closer. I don't think he's going to be on the lead, but if he was just, if they were really focused on making sure, let's make sure he gets out of the gate, he breaks well, kind of put him into the race, and he's sitting like 3rd or 4th, I would not be shocked at all if that was the case here. A lot of times when these horses have bad trouble, they very much get focused and they get trained to try to get that out of them in the second start. We could see a whole new horse here. Big Novel for one of the off-the-pace ones. If you were looking to either double up or for maybe a horse to throw in a pick 4, I do think Stop, Drop, and Roll is a little interesting from a speed standpoint. And I was just talking with a buddy of mine too. Blaine Wright has not run a horse down here the whole meet. And this is the horse that he decides to ship down here for this stakes race, which is a bit intriguing. Like, that's a very good barn who wins a lot of races up in Northern California and in like the Pacific Northwest. So maybe one to keep an eye on and throw into some of your late pick fours. The problem with her in a StableDuel situation is, if there's other speed and she doesn't like the dirt, she could lose by 20, and then really,
that's bad. You don't want that.
But in the pick four, if she's 6-1 and she steals the race, that's the type of horse
genius.
That could be nice. Yeah. So
the feast or famine play.
Yeah. Where are you going in the sixth, Barry?
You guys kind of saw the same things I did, but where we differ is I think that the CTBA race was much, much faster than what Connie Swingle did. And the horses coming out of that race, I think, have a big edge. I mean, you even see way back in July where Drizella actually beat Connie Swingle, and that horse looks pretty decent here. I actually go with the longer price horses because that's, again, no chalk zone. I like Medea. That was a pretty big run she made last time, second time out off a layoff of that, magnitude from, about, what was it, about 4 months, 3 months?
Yeah.
And I think that horse showed a lot of potential here, especially at this level. So I'm expecting with Rosboli staying, coming out of a faster race, even though he was 32-1 that day, I'm liking the 10-1, especially at, StableDuel pricing. But regardless of that, just playing through the windows, I like this horse quite a bit.
Drizella for
No, Medea.
No. Oh, Medea. I'm sorry.
Yes, the 3.
Yeah.
Drizella was just in that race they came out of.
Drizella was who you mentioned behind at the spa, but Medea coming off of that effort, I agree. Like, the way we see the race and you project it, if you think that race is a little bit stronger, like that is what is kind of cool about this race. Like, if you told me Drizella, Medea, Stop, Drop, and Roll, Big Novel, or Connie Swingle, like, none of them would really shock me in this spot. So I do think it is pretty contentious. And if you have an opinion like Barry, where you think that one race is a little bit stronger, that's a good way to kind of get a little separation in a race like this where people might spread out a bit. So
yeah, it's gonna be tough because it seems like that race is gonna be bad. Everybody's gonna be like 5 to 6-1.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think so. I think we get the money spread quite a bit in race number 6, the generous portion. You'll see a couple of these horses that scratch out of there show up tomorrow in a stakes race for the boys in a similar Calbred stakes. Get to race number 7. We're gonna go long on the turf course. What impacted my handicapping in this race was the horse that does draw in off the also eligible, I think is going to impact this race, whether or not you think the horse is going to win, because before Mercy drew into this field, there was no speed on paper. The only proven speed was Star of Africa. Now, Mercy's in the field and Star of Africa's in here. If one of the two of them goes and the other one sits, they could get away. But Mercy with Maldonado, you probably imagine they're going to be the one to go and get in front. This horse, because they're drawing in off the also eligibles list, might be an interesting horse to use in late exotics. Sometimes they just don't get played as much. I would throw Mercy in, but I think I end up coming back to Quinta Winta here, who's just put back-to-back together, had some legitimate trouble back in May, and then they dropped this one in class and got a couple nice confidence-building wins, so you step back up now. I probably lean to Quinta Winta. I was disappointed with England's Rose last time out. I wanted a little more, but the distance will probably help. She's a for sure pick 4 kind of horse, but probably not one that I would use in StableDuel. Not the strongest opinion, but I'll probably end up on Quinta Winta here. Let's start with you, Caleb, in race number 7.
Yeah, so to me, I think we look at this one a little different. Gino, so maybe no songs for this race, but
nice.
I think England's Rose is probably the likeliest winner on the card. I've always thought she was a really nice mare, just had some soundness issues getting to the racetrack. I was also disappointed with her last race, but I just think she's a mare that wants to go farther.
Yep.
Her best race was at 1 1/8. A mile, she just couldn't quite get there, 2 back with a troubled trip. And then last out, once again, just couldn't quite get there, going 1 1/16. I think this 1 3/8 is exactly what she wants to do. So I really think that she's a horse that I'd probably look to single and pick fours, pick fives, build most of my horizontals around late. The other horse I thought was interesting that is a bit more of a price is the 7, Get on the Bus. I think that horse, I'm a big fan of horses that are improving in form in consecutive races.
Yep.
And this horse has improved in 3 straight races, on speed figures, while moving up in class, which is not easy to do. This horse should want to go a mile and 3/8 with the bottom part of that pedigree.
She ran against the race shape in the Javonica race because Javonica just got the lead that day. There was no pace at all. So she didn't get, a good race shape that day at all.
Yeah, exactly. And you read the comment, the horse was 7, 7, 7th, 10th by 10, and then 7th. So clearly ran into some trouble there at the stretch. So that's another horse that I think is a pretty big overlay at 6-1. So that's a horse that I'd definitely look at StableDuel if you can't quite afford a $8,000 or $7,000 horse here. I think that Get on the Bus is probably the value play I would use.
Barry, where are you heading race number 7?
I'm in agreement with Caleb. England's Rose just looks like the best horse here, despite her last trip.
I think over the field, right?
Yes,
I completely agree. I was disappointed with her last time out, but she does still look like she's much better than this group, and she really wants to go long.
Go long, right? That was my thing. She looked like she really wants to go long. The other horse that kind of caught my attention was the 3 Reina del Sol.
Yeah, the wild card, right?
But it's tough, to get a horse prepared to go that long off a layoff like that. A couple months, and obviously something went wrong, so it's not really a good idea. But yeah, I thought England's Rose was the horse to beat and also Get on the Bus. So I think me and Caleb are on the same 2 horses here. I didn't see much after that. Star of Africa's kind of speed and fade. Same thing with Mercy Mercy, unless something wild happens.
The presence of both of them hurts the other one. You know, I would have liked one of them more if there was just one of them in the race now.
Right, exactly.
Putting a little pressure on each other, and that's likely to set up for, one of the better, more distance, horses like an England's Rose. So that is race number 7. As we move to the 8th and final, I absolutely love a horse in this race. Really like a horse. The 7 California Street. So if you look at California Street, who is in this 20 non-3 claimer, this horse has faced a lot better company throughout some of his career. The bottom of the page, he's behind Flagstaff, Omaha Beach, and Chancelot. He comes back and he's beaten barely beaten by Horse Greedy and Justinian and a couple optional claimers. He tries grade 2 company again. I mean, those are just legitimate excuses against legitimate, much tougher groups than this. You can toss the races that are followed by layoff lines. And that 20 race last time out, to me, that's just perfect because that's where this horse wants to be right now. He had a slow start. He was last to 5. He was wide in the turn. He was about 7 lengths off. He moved inside. And then he's moving inside, and that caused him to get pinned in. If he would have just kept to the outside, his momentum would have been fine, but he moved to the inside, and then he's stuck again. And, horses like this, I don't think they can have, multiple gears. He's down at the $20,000 level now. We see great horses that can start and stop and overcome trouble. Most horses can't. They get into some trouble, they don't win that race. That's just what happens. California Street, I'm expecting to fire a really, really big one in here. 7 furlongs is going to make it tough for some of these other horses in this race, and I don't think that's going to be any issue whatsoever for California Street. So I like this one quite a bit to close out the card. Race number 8. Let's start with you, Barry. How are you ending things?
I'm trying to go out with a bang here. I like 2 horses that are kind of longer priced horses. A horse like Scabbard, I could never trust in a spot like this. I know that horse ran pretty decent last time, but it was, from where that horse was to where he is now is a big world of difference, even though he did run pretty decent, especially closing. I just don't think that trip is the right trip for this horse. And it's kind of hard to gauge that horse's style now versus when it was, back in April or May. Now, Next Revolt was a horse that, seemed like just woke up last time for whatever reason. Really didn't put anything together for a while. Woke up with Pratt, and he's going to get overbet. So that was a horse that I just completely did not want. So that left me with two horses, the 10 Taco Flavored Kisses and the 11 Eustace. I think the 11 actually didn't really get going last time. First off the claim for Wong, I think this time, which will be the second race off the claim for him, is going to be a much improved race, especially at that price. There's no way I cannot use a horse like this. He's got back class. He's run well against. Not sure what the spiral was. It was probably some sort of ailment, foot issues most likely, but I think this horse is ready. You know, coming back this quickly, I think this horse is ready to score here at a decent price. Taco Flavored Kisses is another one that I think fits right in at this level after the drop. I'm expecting a little bit more speed, and this horse can be tactical. First off the claim for Peter Miller, another one that that's what he does for a living. I mean, literally. So, you know, these two horses, I think they're going to get the right trip at the right time, and I hope they finish 1-2.
I can't help but just think of that South Park, you know, with Cartman, and he's doing the taco flavored kisses. I just keep playing it in my head over and over again with that one. So yeah, Peter Miller first start off the claim there with Taco Flavored Kisses. You also mentioned Eustace, who would fit very well in this spot. How are you going to close things out, Caleb?
Yeah, so I actually like all the horses you guys mentioned. This is a race I think you can go a bunch of different ways.
Yep. And
in my late horizontals, I'll have a lot of coverage in this race. I'm surprised that I'll be the first one to mention the horse that I thought was the most likely winner, who is the 5 Dark Prince.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, for me, 7 furlongs is a wonky, weird distance that is sometimes too far for your sprinters, that's sometimes too short for your routers. So I'm always a fan of cutbacks when it comes to 7 furlongs. And Dark Prince, last time out, ran pretty much the best race of most horses in this field. He set a blistering pace for a mile. I mean, 22 and change, 46, opened up 6 lengths on the field and won as easily as you could possibly ask. The big concern here is he's out of the Baffert barn, and I totally understand that. But I do think that connections are being realistic here. They're not throwing him into an allowance race. They're putting him at a slightly upgraded claiming level. He had a pretty sharp 34-second blowout just a week ago on August 25th. It looks like he still retains that speed. And I don't see a ton of other speed in here. I don't really think – I mean, I know he's coming out of a mile, and there are sprinters stretching out in here. I mean, maybe a horse like the 8 Stay Golden tries to go. Maybe, I don't know who else could go. So I think he just gets the lead, and I don't think they'll catch him. From a StableDuel perspective, I feel filthy even saying this, but I think there is a horse in here you could use that I think is like free. I don't know what the price is on a 30-1 horse.
Indy Jones?
But Indy Jones.
What's wrong with the 10 claiming race?
Why can't Indy Jones run 3rd in this race?
There's nothing wrong with that race. That's an open 10 claimer, so not a restricted race. That race came back really, really live. And this horse, it's funny because how many times do you try a horse on the grass before you figure out they don't really want to run on it? 11, I guess, is the number.
11 with zero
times you've hit the board. So, I mean, you take those 11 races out, this horse's dirt form isn't that bad overall.
It's not. And he's got, one of his 2 wins came at, 7 furlongs. And the only other time he tried it, he was second by a neck. That was actually a good $10,000 claimer. Yeah, I mean, Tobacco Road and Jan's Reserve both came out of that $10,000 claimer to win again. And, you get a weight break here. I think this horse at 30-1 is ridiculous. I don't think this horse can win.
30-1 on the drop like that.
But that's ridiculous. This horse can easily run 3rd.
There's no way that horse is going to be StableDuel.
No, and that's a great stable. If the horse is 15 and you paid nothing for it, and you can double up in that race and use it with another horse that you like a little bit just to complement them. Yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to mention. If you're playing like exotics and tries and stuff, throw that horse underneath at least, because there's not a lot of speed. And if they break well, the 2 inside horses, I think both scratched. Yeah, the 1 and the 2 are both out now. So now the 3's actually got the rail. if he breaks alertly from the rail and just goes, you got a bug rider aboard, like that has to be, a game plan. Maybe Dark Prince tries to sit off a little bit, or even if Dark Prince is better and Indy Jones finishes third or fourth, maybe it helps you spice up a try or a super, picks you up a couple StableDuel points to close things out. So that is going to do it for us on this Friday. I got to say, guys, it was a blast. Barry, I knew you pretty well, but Caleb, I didn't really know you at all before these streams, and I've had so much fun talking with you over the last couple months. You're a really, really good handicapper. You put a lot of work in, and there have been days where you've absolutely helped me and led me to a horse that I hadn't been looking at before. So it's been a lot of fun getting to know you, and I'd love to bring you on one of my shows. That's what G said. So anytime soon to talk races, and if you guys are down, maybe we can try to figure out something in a few weeks when Keeneland starts, and we can do something for some of those Keeneland, StableDuel contests. That'd be
I'm down. I'm down.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome stuff. Barry, thank you so much, buddy. And hey, when we started this too, you weren't on Twitter, and now you're back on Twitter.
I know, right? It's like a whole cycle.
I know.
Like you never left.
Exactly. So we're right back to where we were before, where Barry's back. And great job again, Caleb. And thanks to Bree for helping us out. Her schedule is so busy. Anytime she can jump in for a few minutes, it's a lot of fun. So everyone, thank you for hanging out with us the last couple months. It's been a blast. Let's make some money today. You've got about 20 minutes or so for first post. So probably 15 to get your StableDuel lineups in. Get them in right now. 2 different games you can play today. There's a $75 game with $2,500 in prizes. And then there's a $250 triple up today. Don't forget Saturday, that big one, $150 entry fee, $10,000 in prizes. There's also a $1,000 double up. And then there's 3 more Del Mar games you can play on Sunday. So every day, get those entries in and play, race, win. Have a good Friday, boys.
All right. See ya.